This story. Lawmakers in Norway are proving that a voluntary tax plan doesn't work out very well. So far, their initiative, one kind of similar to what Warren Buffett said, where he was advising people to raise more revenue by allowing billionaires to pay more money. Well, guess what? Their initiative, it brought in $1,325 for the whole country, everybody. Well, meanwhile, the Congressional Budget Office saying the federal government is going to spend over $4 trillion for the first time this year. Cato Institute senior fellow Dan Mitchell. So, Dan, is this more proof? We don't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem, right?
We definitely have a spending problem. It took us more than 200 years of our nation's history to get to a $1 trillion budget. Now, in the last 30 years or so, we've suddenly jumped up to $4 trillion. Now, some people might say, well, hold on a second. We've had inflation and things like that. Well, go ahead and look at the numbers in inflation-adjusted dollars. It's doubled since 1985 in terms of the size of federal spending, and that is a major problem for our economy.
And as we're talking about Medicaid spending and all the increase that we've had in that, people say, oh, well, President Trump wants to cut the spending. He doesn't want to cut the spending. Nobody's talking about cutting the spending. Even the conservative Republicans aren't talking about cutting the spending, just slowing the growth a little bit.
Well, I'm at the Cato Institute. I would love to actually cut spending. Right. I want to shut down entire departments.
Well,
like
hold on a second, because that's a great point. That in itself is a great point. You're never going to, as long as you have a bureaucracy, you're going to have increased spending. It's the nature of bureaucracies. The only way to really cut spending is to cut entire agencies themselves, right?
I would much rather shut down one department or one program than to cut 10 of them by 10%, because it's sort of like, if you've ever done any gardening, if you simply cut a weed off at the base, are you actually solving anything? No. You have to pull it out by the roots. And so, yes, I do want to fundamentally shut down and restructure a lot of government programs, but the point you made is fundamentally correct about Medicaid. In terms of the Obamacare repeal legislation, which of course doesn't really repeal, but all that Trump and the Republicans are talking about is having Medicaid grow at a slower rate. Now, I'm much more interested in actually restructuring the program by block granting it, putting states in charge, repeating the success we had under Bill Clinton with welfare reform.
Yeah. Well, by the way, Dan, the one bureaucracy in my lifetime that has been eliminated entirely, Civil Aeronautics Board under Jimmy Carter, of all people. Who would have thought? It's crazy. It should happen now. Thank you very much, Dan. Great to see you. Dan Mitchell from the Cato Institute.